I've used my lovely assistant Yvonne for... Hey, it's Victor here for KLGadgetTV. This is the Vivo V17 Pro. It's a successor to the V15 Pro, which was launched a few months ago. This, however, will be launched this 1st October. We've got it a little earlier, so we're gonna unbox it. Alright, so let's start unboxing the phone. Gonna carefully not scratch anything. This is a new box, as you can tell from the plastic. Move this aside. Alright. The box is quite interesting. It looks different from the V15 Pro's one. This one looks more premium. It even has like silver embossed wordings on it. Yeah, so let's see what's inside. It's open. Let's try not to drop anything. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggling is the best way to go. This should be the manuals as well as the casing. Look at the casing. This is not transparent like most manufacturers would give you. This is a plastic white casing that goes with the phone, and I'm happy it's not transparent for once. And you have manuals here and your SIM ejector, and as well as your cables. This should be USB Type-C. Alright, so here is the phone. This is the crystal white version. This is the charger and headphones. Finally, we can get to the phone. Let's unwrap it. Okay, so we've set up the phone. Let's talk about display first. The Vivo V17 Pro has a 6.44-inch Super AMOLED display. Vivo calls it the Ultra Full View display, and from here it looks really sharp because it pushes 1080p resolution. You also notice that there are no notches as well as very thin bezels. Alright, so now moving to the back, we see Corning Gorilla Glass 6 glass panel at the back. This is the crystal white. We will also get black. There are only two colors for the Vivo V17 Pro. And we also see 4 camera setups here. It has a 48 megapixel lens, an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, a 13 megapixel telephoto lens, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Now, just talking a little bit more about the back panel, if you compare it to the previous V15 Pro, you notice this looks a lot more premium. There's sort of a gradient here, and it shimmers in the light, so you move it around, you can see a bit of yellowish hues, and it looks very, very good. You see the camera module here, it sort of has glass inlays in it, so it makes the phone feel and look a lot more premium than its predecessor. Now, this is a slightly larger phone than the V15 Pro, and if we look at the sides, it's actually pretty thick. At the sides, you see aluminium borders, and you get a volume rocker here and a power button. Towards one side is the regular Google Assistant button, which has a bit of a texture to it that is slightly different from the other two rockers and buttons here. Now, Vivo markets this as a 6-camera phone because 4 cameras here, and watch this. 2 at the front. There are 2 lenses here, plus I think it looks like a little speaker. Now, the main selfie lens is a 32 megapixel camera as well as a 8 megapixel ultra wide camera. So this is great for group group selfies pretty much. Alright, we'll get to the testing of the cameras later. Now, the Vivo V17 Pro pretty much only has upgrades to the camera size and pretty much the battery. In terms of internals, it's not really that different. It's got the same Snapdragon 675 chipset, but this one has 8GB of RAM plus 128GB of internal storage. You can pretty much get that with the regular V15 Pro now. This phone has a 4100 mAh battery, which is bigger than the predecessor's one, and it charges via USB-C and supports fast charging of up to 18 watts. I also need to mention that this phone doesn't support expandable storage with microSD card. So 128GB is all you're gonna get. Although it may sound like it's more than enough for most people, this phone is a camera-centric phone. The more pictures you take, the more space it's gonna take. So you're gonna need to frequently transfer them to an external drive. Plus, if you're gonna download games and play them, because the Snapdragon 675 can run games pretty smoothly, you're gonna run out of space quite fast. Now, with that said, it boggles my mind a little bit as to why Vivo is launching the V17 Pro so soon after they've launched the predecessor, which was only a few months ago. It has the same chipset, albeit the chipset is good enough to run a mid-range phone. It makes me think that perhaps they could have waited until next year, probably around the same time they launched the V15, so that they can put more powerful specs inside, maybe more storage, more RAM or something like that. It seems like they're just pushing this just to join the quad camera party. For the sake of brevity, we are not going to test the main cameras out yet because it's pretty much standard. We'll get to that in the review. But we are going to test out the selfie cameras. I've used my lovely assistant Yvonne as the selfie subject. Now, using the regular photo mode, the AI beautification level is sort of set at a default to a ridiculous level. Yvonne's skin is ridiculously bright and shiny, and her eyes is way too big, and her chin is way too sharp. So you're gonna need to tone down the beautification levels once you get the phone. And this also has an 8MP ultra-wide lens, and for the most part it looks fine. On the sides you will get warped a little bit, so do stay within that border. I also need to mention that the phone supports night selfies. So it ups the contrast a bit when you take selfies in low light situations. As you can see here, there's a refrigerator next to Yvonne, but it looks pretty much okay. Yeah, so selfie camera tests, good job so far, albeit the AI beautification can be tweaked a little. Now, as all Vivos go, you get FunTouch OS. This one has 9.1 installed. It's got really weird control centers. You swipe up to bring up your settings, your quick settings and stuff. You swipe down to bring your notifications. I'm not a fan of this, but maybe you are. But everything else looks clean. Right now, I can't tell if there's an app tray. Generally, FunTouch OS doesn't have app trays, which is unfortunate. But some people could like it. It looks clean. The icons are minimalistic. But that's for you. And this phone has an in-the-screen fingerprint sensor. I'm not going to test that out yet. Stay tuned for the review. So that's it for the Vivo V17 Pro. At the time of recording, we don't know the price yet. As we mentioned, the launch will be on the 1st of October. Stay tuned for the review. Once we know the price, we'll put them in the description box down below. Let us know what you think in the comments. Give us a like, subscribe, and until next time, bye-bye.